Welcome to the Age Well Home and Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Bradley. I'm the founder of Age Well Home and Lifestyle. This podcast is rooted in one essential truth. To age well and thrive, we must be radically curious. Curious about who we really are, about what truly matters. Curious enough to question everything we've been told so we can finally design a life and home that reflects our truest selves. Here we treat life as our masterpiece. We see ourselves as detectives gathering clues, uncovering our deepest gifts, and consciously curating a lifestyle and home that is both healing and fulfilling. Join me for solo episodes and conversations with guests where I help us get closer to the root of living our best lives in mid-age and beyond. Breezy is the Director of Marketing at Freestone Mortgage, a reverse mortgage-centered brokerage. Known for her data-driven strategies and heart-centered approach, Breezy has helped redefine how home equity is used to empower retirees across the Pacific Northwest. With a background that started about 15 years ago as an in-home caregiver while her children were young, and spanning into the mortgage industry into business development, operations, and strategic marketing, Breezy blends analytics with authenticity to simplify complex financial concepts and help seniors make confident, informed decisions about their future. She's a content creator, systems builder, and community educator who believes in the power of collaboration, bridging the gap between real estate, finance, and aging-in-place resources to create holistic retirement solutions. When she's not developing systems or teaching professionals how to better serve the 55 plus demographic, you'll find her exploring the Oregon forests, tending her garden, cooking, or volunteering. Her passion is clear: to help people live with more clarity, dignity, and choice in every stage of life. Today we have Breezy with us, and she is an expert in reverse mortgages, which are so important when you're thinking about aging in place home modifications. But Breezy is the expert, so we are going to dive into the details of reverse mortgages today. Welcome, Breezy, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to dive into this because these can be such an amazing resource for our clients. So first, share what inspired you to get into reverse mortgages.
So I didn't really have a goal of being like, I'm going to be a reverse mortgage person and that's what I'm going to do. I actually just kind of fell into this world because the goal that I had was to help people live more comfortably at home for longer.
My goal too.
Right? That was my original goal. And so it just so happened reverse mortgages was the tool that connected those dots that made that possible. Yeah. So I don't think of reverse mortgages as the goal. I think of reverse mortgages as the tool that allows the goal to be accomplished.
Yes, so agree. And again, to find these tools is so essential because, and I want to hear your story again about being a caretaker and all of that. But and tell me if I'm wrong, the reverse mortgage had a negative connotation years ago. So first, share about your story, your personal journey, and then share a bit about that misinformation out there.
Absolutely. Thank you for that segue. It's really important to not ignore the elephant in the room, that reverse mortgages weren't always a good thing. In the past, there wasn't a lot of regulation around reverse mortgages. It was a government product. It always has been a government product, but there was some checks and balances that needed to be put into place that weren't. And a lot of people did have a negative experience because of that. Some people did lose their homes because they weren't on the loan. The spouse was the one who took the loan because they were of the age. The younger spouse wasn't on the loan. So when the older spouse passed away, the younger spouse was, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so that was something that happened pre-2000s time that we're actually still trying to recover from in the marketing world of reverse mortgages. Those that was a traumatic experience for our nation as a whole, really. So we're still trying to say, no, that's actually doesn't happen anymore. We have protections in place for spouses, even non-borrowing spouses, even if they aren't of age to be on the loan. There are protections in place so people don't end up homeless if the spouse passes away.
Thank gosh.
Yes, thank goodness. But I do want to just make sure that everybody who is listening understands that those bad things did happen. And now the loan has changed. We've learned our lessons, and there's a lot of more safeguards that have been put into place that make it so people are comfortable and safe in these loans. And in the process of putting those safeguards in place, the loan was actually turned into more of a financial tool to leverage your home equity. In the past, it was kind of considered a loan of last resort, but now it's considered more of a home equity leveraging tool that the financial savvy are using as like a buffer account during down markets. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach why someone would ever get a reverse mortgage. So and these are the things that I've been learning over the last 10 years being in this industry. But what brought me into this industry, it was being an in-home caregiver, actually. That's how I started working with the elderly, seeing how they were suffering. There was a lot of suffering happening. And being in their homes, I could help them feel better. I could do their tasks for them to make it so things weren't piling up and becoming more of a problem than they already were. But what I was noticing was that the financial aspect of life was really holding them back from healing. Because they were in financial turmoil, it was increasing their physical suffering and making it last longer, and sometimes making it impossible for them to move forward out of that physical suffering. And that was really hard to see as a person I live with an empathetic heart. It's a blessing and a curse, really. As you know, you're the same.
100% the same. It's heavy, and it's when we see these adversities in life, whatever home, family, work, whatever it is, when we come upon these adversities, we then question. We question, what are the solutions? How can people come out of this? What can they do? What are the solutions? And that's again what you saw and we don't always think about the layers of aging. And again, I talk about aging well, and to age well is to live well, and to live well is to live in alignment with your true self. And as we age, that financial burden of feeling like you have no other resource out there because you can't work more, you can't get a job because you are literally not 100% well, what are the choices? And that's what you saw in the reverse mortgage. So giving people the peace of mind to say there are other options out there, and to make them feel comfortable to choose these options is amazing. So I hate that you experienced that, but so amazing because that leads us to more solutions.
And I wish everybody would experience that. I think that everybody should have to be an in-home caregiver at some point in life. You learn so much, not only about taking care of another person, but about the value of life, about living your life while you have the ability, about using your legs while they still work. That's the kind of thing that people really, we take for granted, is our health.
100%. And it's not until it goes away that we're like, oh, wow, interesting.
Yes. It's so important to take care of the elderly. And then you get to experience that life is a really, really long journey. And you get to live multiple lives in that one lifetime. People will tell you their stories, and that is one of the things that I will carry with me the rest of my life, is all of the people that I helped take care of for just a minute of time, but their story, it lives within me, and it helps shape my decisions, because I learned they will tell you all of the mistakes they've ever made in their life. They will tell you all the things they wish were different.
Right, right. And the regrets. That's something I talk about so often, is the hearing people's stories and what they regret towards that end part of life is what is the reminder to live each moment, each day to its fullest. Um, okay, so let's go into the details of reverse mortgages. How do you actually get them? What are they? What do you have to think about? What are the terms, the details? So let's go into what exactly it is and who can qualify, all the details.
Yeah, so a reverse mortgage is a home equity loan. That's basically what it is. It's a home equity loan that you don't have to make any monthly mortgage payments on. The monthly mortgage payments come off the back end of the loan. So once somebody passes away, the whatever they would have paid if they had a regular mortgage, it gets tacked on to the end of the loan, and that gets paid when the home either sells or somebody refinances it, like if they want to keep it in the family. So it's a home equity loan. It's a loan based off of your how much equity you have in your home that you can use, and you can use this home equity loan for anything you want or need. There's no restrictions on how you spend the money, where the money goes, and you can take it in multiple ways. A lot of folks don't really need the money right away. They just want a financial security net for what if something happens when I
Which
yes.
helps people heal. Just having that safety of saying, okay, I'm taken care of. Now I can focus on just feeling my best in the moment.
Absolutely. So what people do in that situation is they put the money in a line of credit. So they do the reverse mortgage the moment they can. You have to be 62 or older to do a government reverse mortgage called the HECM, HECM. It stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. But there's also, nowadays, we have a lot of other options that are called proprietary reverse mortgages, and they work for people as young as 55 in most states. 60 in Washington, but 55 in Oregon and in most other states, to get a proprietary reverse mortgage. So they're not government insured, the reverse mortgages, we can't look at it as that is the goal to get a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage is the vehicle that allows you to reach your goals. So depending on what your goal is, whether you want to stay home for as long as possible, or you want to pay for a grandkid to go to college, or you want to afford to finally get all of the therapies that are not covered by your insurance. These are goals. And a reverse mortgage can be the vehicle that allows you to take advantage of the funds in your home to meet those goals without stretching your budget. So if you were to take a loan from most other sources, it would require some kind of payment back to that while you're still alive.
Right.
But with a reverse mortgage, that's the differentiator, is you pay it back after you're no longer occupying the home.
And what happens if the person passes away and the kids now have the house? Do they have to pay back anything?
That's a great question. With a reverse mortgage, no. It's called a non-recourse loan. And the benefit of a non-recourse loan is the house pays back the loan. The house, even if the house is, like, let's say the loan balance has grown to be more than the house is worth, the bank will accept whatever they can get out of the house to pay off the loan, and the rest of the money that is owed is covered by the mortgage insurance, so that they cannot go after the heirs, they cannot go after any other assets owned by the person who took out the loan, because it is a non-recourse loan.
And that's not always that question. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. And that's not always true for other types of loans. A lot of other types of loans, if the value of the house does not meet whatever the balance on the loan is, they'll go after all your other assets first. They'll go after your life insurance. and they'll go after anything that you thought you might have left to your heirs, your fancy truck, your expensive boat. The bank will then take those things to make up the difference between what you owe and what your house is worth. So those are some of the factors that people really aren't aware of with reverse mortgages, is that they can actually offer your heirs more safety, more protection during the time when they're really struggling the most after their parent has passed. They need to be focusing on going through the process of grief, feeling those feelings, letting all of the memories meld in.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be worried about if the bank's going to come take dad's boat.
Yep. And our aging parents, it eases their mind because they don't want to put extra stress on their kids or grandkids. So thank you for clearing that up.
That's a great point. Yes, we need to be focusing on making life, aging, as pleasant as possible for as long as possible.
Exactly.
And that's why I love reverse mortgages, is because they are the tool that makes that possible for so many folks.
Yep, and let's go into an example of that. So we can use the money, or my clients can use the money, or maybe me one day, to do aging in place renovations, to do universal design renovations. Talk a bit about that. And it can also even be if you want to turn your house into a multi-generational compound and renovate the basement, add an ADU. This is another source of income or other source of finances for you to make those renovations proactively. Not wait until something happens. You can uncover this resource, take advantage of it, smartly, slowly make the renovations that you want to think about how you actually desire to live in that last chapter and create that. So talk a bit about that you can use it for renovations in your home so you can future-proof your home.
Absolutely. Being proactive with aging is one of the ways that you can really reduce stress in the long run. We need to think about things ahead of time instead of being reactive. And in a lot of situations, when you think of when you are being reactive to a problem that is already occurring, you make a poor decision.
Exactly, because you're in the stress response.
Exactly.
Everyone's stressed and like, oh my God, what should I do?
So with a reverse mortgage, and I'm going to specifically be talking about the government insured HECM reverse mortgage. A lot of this stuff doesn't apply to the proprietary reverse mortgages. And because you can get those at age 55 or older, they're just so much different. So we're going to focus on the reverse mortgage you can get at age 62. There's been a lot of studies done on reverse mortgages, and they all show the earlier you get a reverse mortgage, the bigger benefit it has for you as you age, the longer you have it. And the reason behind that is because of the negative amortization on the line of credit. So let's just run through a little example here. You have a home. I'm not going to use any numbers. I'm just going to use basics. You have a home. It has equity. You take the equity of the home, put it in a line of credit. That line of credit is like a credit card that you don't have to make any monthly mortgage payments on. It just sits there. It's available. You can borrow from it when you need, or you can leave it alone. But if you leave it alone, next year, there'll be even more money available for you. And the year after that, even more money available for you. And because you haven't taken anything from it, you're not accruing any monthly mortgage payments onto the back end of that loan. So it just sits there and it waits for you to need it. So as you age, you can say, oh, we need a ramp for the front door. Time to make that upgrade. And you can take money from your line of credit and use that money for doing your age in place renovations. But the biggest, most important factor is to open the line of credit as early as possible before you need it. So when you do need it, those funds are available and they are ample enough to cover what you're going to be putting into your home.
And is there a certain amount of equity that you need to even be able to begin the reverse mortgage, to get it in the beginning?
There is, and it depends on your age. And it also depends on what the current interest rate is. So the market really affects how much equity you need in your home. When the rates are higher, you need more equity in your home. When rates are lower, you need less equity in your home. And it goes the same for how old you are. The older you are, the less equity you need in your home to get a reverse mortgage.
Okay.
The younger you are, the more equity you need it in your home to get a reverse mortgage. And the reason it's like that is because these are government loans. They want to be able to be sure that you're going to live in the home long enough for them to be able to make their money back on the loan.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why age is a huge factor in how much equity that it needs in the home. But once you do open the reverse mortgage, like this is my husband and my plan. We are planning a reverse mortgage into our financial holistic picture of retirement.
I love this. And what approximately how old are you? Because one of my questions was if we're planning, if we're midlife and even younger than midlife, how can we start thinking about this as part of our financial and home plan?
Yes. So I just turned 40 5 days ago. So
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. So I told everybody only 22 years till I can get a reverse mortgage.
That's what you're thinking about. That's
Yes.
how you know you're the expert. That's right away. It's like, it's my plan. But this is what people need
Yes.
to know. So it gives them another, like, I
Yes.
can live my earlier days feeling more ease because I know this is my plan.
Absolutely. So when we turn 62, not only will we never have a monthly mortgage payment again, but we will also have a line of credit opened up based on the equity in our home. That line of credit will grow over time. So when we turn 72, we won't have to worry about where is the 15 grand going to come from to put a new roof on the house.
Yeah.
And when we turn 75, we're not going to have to worry about where the 10 grand is going to come from when we need to widen our doorways so we can get a wheelchair into our bathrooms or make a walk-in shower. These are the types of things that people need to be planning for ahead of time if you want to stay in your home, which the majority of Americans do desire to stay in their home. And there's been a ton of studies done. I'm preaching to the choir here. There's been a ton of studies done showing that people, they are happier and their cognitive abilities are intact longer for the longer they remain in their home. So when your partner or you start experiencing some kind of Alzheimer's or dementia symptoms, and you want to bring an in-home caregiver in for overnight so you can get some sleep, you can use your reverse mortgage line of credit to pay for that.
Repeat that because I think that's a huge. If we can stay in our home as long as possible and feel comfortable and well taken care of in our home, that's when it helps our physical well being even more. I think it's often people who feel like, oh, if I stay in my home, I don't have a caretaker, I don't have peace of mind, and they're just like, okay, I'll go to another community, but it's not really in their heart and soul what they want to do. So, right. They think it'll be best for everyone involved. So, repeat that again about it's okay to bring the caretaker in to live in the house.
I mean, I would encourage bringing a caretaker in before you think you need one. Because you want to be able to get comfortable with this person in your home, in your environment, before you're completely 100% dependent upon them. I mean, what if you don't get along? What if they are not responding to your cues? A lot of times, and I learned this from being a caregiver. A lot of times, folks don't know what they want, and they don't know what they need. All they know is they're suffering, and you need to fix it. So if your caregiver can't just jump in and know exactly what to do without having any kind of being told exactly the steps to take, then you probably want to get a different caregiver. And these are the types of things you need to figure out before you are in desperate need of a caregiver. And a reverse mortgage, having those funds available, it makes it an option for you to be nimble, for you to not have to take anything that's available. You don't want to get the cheapest option. You know, you don't want to just hire the neighbor kid next door because you can afford them. You want to get an expert. You want to pay for somebody you can trust. You want somebody in your home that you don't have to worry is going to be stealing from your curio cabinet to make up the difference in their pay because they're not getting paid enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to be able to be in control of who you have in your home, and you can do that by having enough money to be able to afford a person and a service that is going to meet your needs.
Yep.
And that is how a reverse mortgage is the vehicle that helps you meet that goal.
Again, being proactive, it empowers you. If you're proactive, you know you have resources, you know you have tools, you can plan ahead, plan that renovation. And I think today I see more and more, and I encourage more and more, the multi-generational living. So whether it's college kids finishing college, coming back home, and maybe an ADU is built out back for them. You add on and renovate the primary suite so you have main living that aging parents can be on the main level. Or you get an elevator installed so that you can go to multiple levels. Proactivity, is that a word? Proactively, being proactive in everything in life, but especially from midlife and beyond, knowing how you want to age and starting as early as possible. And I feel like that's a big part of, again, Age Well Home and Lifestyle with reframing aging. Don't avoid it. It's not something to avoid. Aging is a privilege. If we
Absolutely.
get to 70, if we get to 80, we get to 90, it's like, hell yes.
There's a reason we celebrate birthdays.
Right, right.
Yes.
We want to age. We want to get the wrinkles. Maybe not sooner rather than later, but
Bring on those gray hairs.
Right. Oh, I got it. I got it right there. But again, aging is a privilege, and if we look at it like, okay, I'm coming into this this next chapter. How can I create this to be my best last chapter, second to last chapter, whatever it is?
Yes, absolutely. We need to be appreciating what I call the patina of life.
I love it.
And that's why I love reverse mortgages so much. And it's because it allows you to be to live in the moment and to be appreciative about what you have instead of stressing about what you don't have.
Yeah. And like you said too, about the support, the right support. And it doesn't have to be family members. Some of us don't get along with our family members, and that's okay. We can have community and intergenerational help in the home. But that person who owns the home, the reverse mortgage, can help to finance that intergenerational care, whether it's family or just other humans in our lives.
What I've seen from a caregiver standpoint is family feels stretched so thin, and they're not trained to be able to handle the needs of the person. And they have been trying to help for so long, but what it's done is it has negatively affected their relationship. It's left them with a bad feeling about aging. And it's because that family members, they don't have the support and the training that they need to be effective in that position. So if we can either get the family member the training and the support that they need to be successful in that position with the reverse mortgage funds, or hire somebody for respite care. You know, your spouse can be your primary caregiver. A lot of people are most comfortable with that. They do plan for that kind of thing. But having somebody that can come in for respite care, they say you can't pour from an empty cup. Respite care fills your cup.
And explain what respite care is, just in case somebody doesn't understand.
That's a great question. Respite care is just like somebody who will come in and give you a break. Somebody who fills those gaps of what if you want to go to a baby shower, or you want to go to a lunch with your friends that you haven't seen in years? Well, what are you going to do with your spouse? They have dementia and you can't leave them alone. What's going to happen? You maybe could take them with you, but how much fun are you going to have at that event if you have to be babysitting your spouse the entire time?
Yeah. And then go ahead.
Respite care is a professional that you can bring into your home who will sit with your spouse, your loved one, and make sure that they are taken care of, supported, and entertained while you're away. A lot of times spouses can get worried if their primary caregiver is gone. So the respite person will make sure that they are entertained and taken care of, so then you can go and have yourself a good time, fill your cup. So by the time you get back to the house, you're not exhausted. Yes, you're at peace and you are ready to jump in and take your next shift.
Yeah. And what I was going to say before was it prevents resentment, anger, because it just builds up. If over time you don't have those solutions to for the caretaker, and I've done other podcasts on caretaking and giving the caretaker a break, and I talk about lifestyle design for the caretaker. Lifestyle design isn't just for the single person, it is for living in community with your family, whether you're a caretaker, the person being taken care of. It's weaving together the lifestyle so both people can optimally live as their true self, as I say, their true self, live their best life. But it looks different. There's different needs. And even for that, I think of when respite care comes in, or a caretaker in general, the person being cared for, I feel like sometimes as people get older, people believe there's no use for that person. And that drives me bonkers, because it's like there's so much joy to be had, whether that person has Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, whatever, or just gradual aging. There's so much joy that can be had with both people. Music, I've done a podcast on music therapy, art therapy. There's so much joy for all generations. So not thinking of it as a like, I got to spend time with so and so because I'm caretaking or whatever. You find that caretaker or that respite care nurse person who recognizes and remembers the joy in just being with another human being, no matter what.
Yeah, they really take their job seriously. They're not there for the paycheck. They're there for the experience. They're there to make life better for everyone involved. And those are the types of folks you need to be able to afford when the time comes.
Exactly. Again, proactively. And even
Yes.
I'm a big believer in visioning these people into your life or whatever. So no matter what age, I think now I'm 49. I envision being surrounded by joyful multi-generations. Ideally, I have a multi-generational compound where I'm helping to raise my grandkids and they're creating joy for me and we're all taking care of each other. But to vision the life you want to create, to gradually call that into your space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
This
So
is fantastic. Go
when
ahead.
you were talking about the lifestyle design, we did a reverse mortgage for some folks who they needed two separate primary suites. The husband had some kind of, he needed to be on dialysis all night, and the machine was really obtrusive. The wife was not having it. It was uncomfortable for her to be in the same room while that treatment was happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes the husband also needed a night nurse to come in and take care of his needs. So it was very uncomfortable for the wife to be have that person in her space. She wasn't able to get a full night's sleep, and she was the primary caregiver during the day. So it was so important for her to be able to pour from a full cup. So they used the reverse mortgage funds to build a separate primary suite. They were far, like one end of the house had the husband's bedroom, the other end of the house had the wife's bedroom. They had their own bathrooms, and that made it so they could stay in their home for as long as possible, and they could both be taken care of and had their needs met without having to take on financial burdens. There was no monthly mortgage payments required on what they borrowed. Of course, they can make monthly mortgage payments if they want to. Sometimes people get inheritances or they have to take like a required minimum distribution from their traditional investment funds. If you have a financial advisor that can manipulate money and move it around for you to benefit more, we absolutely encourage you to talk to and meet with a financial advisor who is really smart about that kind of thing.
Love that.
we want to be able to utilize the reverse mortgage funds for as long as possible as a buffer asset. So finding a financial advisor that knows how to do that is key in longevity.
I love that. And I love that example. Give us some more examples, one or two other powerful examples of reverse mortgages in action. Clients you've worked with, stories you have, people thinking outside the box to use this tool, anything like that.
Okay, so this one story, I still get goosebumps every time I tell it. It doesn't have to do with lifestyle design, but what it has to do with is creating joy while you're alive and meeting goals while you're alive. So we had this guy. He had 3 kids who had all paid for their own, gone through college on their own, and they were dying. They were suffering under college debt. It was impossible for them to buy a home because not only did they go to college and complete and get degrees, but then they weren't able to get a job that would pay enough to then be able to afford to pay off all that college debt and pay a mortgage payment.
And it's
So
that's so common these days.
so common. So this our client, I think his name was Paul. He was so adamant that before he died, his only goal in life was to see all of his grandkids have their own backyards with a swing set.
Oh
Right?
my gosh.
He wanted to die a happy man, and that was what it was going to take. And he was willing to do whatever it took to get those grandkids their own backyards with a swing set. And so he had a house. It was just a regular house in a neighborhood, not anything special. He wasn't in a mansion on 10 acres. But with the reverse mortgage, we were able to, and so all of his kids were living in apartments. And they all wanted to buy a house desperately, but they couldn't save enough money for a down payment. Not even for the 1 or 3, whatever it takes. I don't even know. I don't do regular loans. I'm not in that world. Whatever it takes for a down payment these days, it was impossible for them to save. Understandably, apartments are so much money, and paying on student loans, that can eat you alive, right?
Yeah.
So he did a reverse mortgage on his primary residence. It paid off his mortgage, so he never had to make another monthly mortgage payment again. So overnight, his quality of life was increased, and he also he took out 90 grand in cash, and he gave each of his kids 30 grand, right? So they were all able to buy a house of their own. They finally had the down payment they needed to buy a house of their own. And surprisingly, the payments on the houses they bought were less than the apartments costed. So it ended up putting those kids in a way better financial predicament. They're finally earning equity. They're finally able to have a backyard for their kids. And he called us and he said he was able to help his kids move into each one of their homes. And he bought his grandkids each a swing set for their backyards.
That is a perfect example. And that is a perfect example of how unique each person's situation is. That is what his heart and soul goal was. He could pass away with less regrets, no regrets around that, and live with that joy of knowing he did what he wanted to do. So each person can uncover what that looks like for them, as long as, again, they're proactive about it all. Oh, I love that story.
And that one is so heartwarming. I love to see people that are family oriented, I guess you could say, that are really trying to not only better their own life, but focused on the next generations, building that generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what our whole company, Freestone Mortgage, is focused on, is building wealth through home ownership.
Yep.
And reverse mortgages are completely aligned with building wealth through home ownership.
Being smart with that equity. And what you were saying about it being difficult for somebody who put themselves through college, they have that student debt, they're not making enough money, or can't find a job, and you can't find that down payment. That is And I feel like we're going to go into that more and more and more, which is again why we want to understand all of our options financially. Reverse mortgages, have that smart financial advisor who gets them, and that smart renovation knowledge, wisdom to have everybody in their spaces, yet have space apart. One job I had in grad school, I was in grad school for physical therapy at the time. I stayed over, I may have shared this with you before. I stayed over at a house. I slept over as the nighttime caretaker for a woman with MS, so her husband could get a full night's sleep every night, and he was the caretaker during the day. So it was a perfect example, and I think back to that like, oh my gosh, so long ago.
But
Okay.
it makes a difference in your life nowadays, even though that was just maybe one night of your life. It's like, wow, this is what life is. Life is not always perfect.
Exactly.
But if you plan ahead and you have the tools and the resources in place, by the time you get there, it's not going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yep. There's always solutions. Everything is figure outable. We just got to uncover. We got to question. We got to bring in the experts, ask the right questions, do a little digging. And the earlier we do that, when we're not in the stress response, in a calm, regulated nervous system, the better we can curate those chapters, the next chapters.
Yes, I love how you said that everything is figure outable. And one thing that is holds people back from considering a reverse mortgage is fear. Fear of the past, fear of what has happened before.
Right.
So we are so thankful that most of our clients approach reverse mortgages with a curiosity perspective. They just want to learn. And we are so happy to just provide education, whether you get a reverse mortgage or you don't. Just learn about it. Yeah. Learning about reverse mortgages doesn't mean that you're desperate. It doesn't mean that you're trying to what learning about reverse mortgages means is that you're curious and you want to become educated about all the options available.
And that is the key. So you can then uncover the best option for you. And you're not rushed into a situation where you have to make a quick decision, because those usually are not the best decisions moving forward.
Absolutely. We're very focused on education. So if anybody ever just wants to learn about reverse mortgages, we're more than happy to just sit with them and show them what it would look like. We literally will give them numbers and say, this is what a reverse mortgage would look like for you. So now you can make your own decision. There's no pressure. We've even created an app called Whisper that allows people to put in it's a completely private experience. You just go to our website. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to submit your information. Most of these kind of online tools, it's like, fill it out and then put your information in and we'll call you with the results. No. The results just come up right then and there. You don't have to put any private information in, and it will tell you if you got a reverse mortgage, this is what it would look like for you. If you wanted to move to a care facility, this is how long your funds would last. And it's so you can really make these decisions without having to feel pressured or feel like it's your only option. So we highly encourage people to go to our website, try Whisper out, just play with it, see what it says for you. It's a great resource.
And share your website and share how people can connect with you with questions. And I just want to, that app, I love, because oftentimes if you sign up for something, you all get inundated with so much stuff. So nobody wants to take that step. So I love that it's just private. They can talk to you about it. They can ask you questions, but share the website and how people can connect with you if they want to go deeper.
So the website is freestonemortgagereverse.com. And at the top of the website, there'll be a little thing that says retirement calculator. You click that and you can go in. It's overlaid with actuarial charts. So it knows, so you just put in your age and it will basically on the back end of the calculator, it will use data to say, well, you're expected to have this long of a lifespan. So using that information, this is how long we would expect your funds to last if you were to move into a care community at 3 different price points. Or what if you had this much money from a reverse mortgage and then you put in how much money you were expected to get from a reverse mortgage? It's up to you. You can put whatever number in there you think you might want to get. And then it would show you how long your funds would last if you wanted to stay at home. So these are some of there's little boxes for also to put in like what your expenses are, what you expect your expenses might be. Like maybe it would be easier for you to stay home longer if you had a landscaper or a private chef come in to make your meals. So there's different boxes to put all the costs that you might expect for those types of services. And it basically just is a one page that says, oh, wow, I don't have to move to a care community. I can afford to stay home for as long as possible. And these are the types of decisions that paralyze people. Yeah. This is why people aren't proactive.
Yep, they avoid
it's not even, yes, it's not even about they don't feel like they need it. It's decision paralysis. They don't want to think about it. It's too much. It's too hard to even consider these things. But Whisper makes it easy.
I love it. And again, finding a professional like yourself who you're not pushing anyone towards any one direction, and finding lots of resources, whether it's the financial, whether it's the reverse mortgage, all the professionals that are not pushing you to do what is best for them, but is going to help you uncover what is best for you and make those choices.
We're really goal focused. I mean, depending on, we want to help people live their best life for as long as possible and meet their goals. And we probably have a tool or a resource or somebody that you can call to make that happen. So the best thing to do when you are planning to age, which we hope that everybody is planning to age.
If we're on this earth right now, we have a plan to age.
Yes, if you should plan to age, and you need to be putting those pieces in place to make that as successful as possible.
So that you can age well.
Age well at home.
Oh, Breezy, this is fantastic. Thank you for diving into the details. I hope just from this conversation that people feel more at ease, remembering that everything is figure outable. The earlier we start to get curious about things, the better. So reach out to Breezy with all questions, reverse mortgages. And I'll, of course, link all your information in the show notes and all that good stuff.
Wonderful. Do you want one more reverse mortgage story that maybe you want to weave it in somewhere?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we can just add it here at the end too, or whatever.
Okay. So this reverse mortgage story is a little bit different. It's not about staying in the home you already have. It's about using a reverse mortgage to buy a different home.
I'm so glad you brought this up because this was in my notes to ask you about. So this is fantastic.
Oh, cool. So a lot of people, they can't renovate their house. The walls are where they are, right? And there just isn't an option. Or the thing that is making it unpleasant to live where they are is the weather. And this was what happened with one of our clients. The weather, it was so wet, and they were negatively responding to the different molds in the air from the different trees that grow on this side of the mountain range, on the west side of the mountain range. Yeah. Ideally, when they lived over on the east side in the Bend area, when they would vacation over there, they felt better. They were able to breathe more easily. They were able to sleep better. So they knew that in order to age more comfortably and be at peace at home for longer, they needed to move to the east side of the mountain range. So, but how are they going to do that? They'd own their home here free and clear. In order to buy a new house, they would either have to, which the homes over there, they can be a little bit more expensive than the homes over here. And of course, they wanted to upgrade. They wanted a really nice home. They didn't want to have to renovate anything or fix anything. They wanted something new. And they wanted a big, nice deck where they could sit out on their nice deck and look at the view and not feel like they needed to leave their house to appreciate the nature that was surrounding them. So in order to buy a house that was affordable for them, they would have either had to take another loan out which would be a monthly mortgage payment. That would be a burden on their finances. Their other house was paid off. They hadn't paid a mortgage payment in years. So to have to even consider that, that was like, ooh, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then, so they would have had to put down all of the money from the sale of their house, which they were hoping to save some of that money as a financial security net. It's so important for people as they age to have cash to lean on when they need it. You don't want to have to wonder where you're going to get 30 grand when you need it.
For the just in cases, because that allows you to, again, stay calm in your nervous system. And if you're calm in your nervous system, you can then be a little bit healthier as you
Absolutely.
age.
It helps you sleep easier knowing that you've got some cash in the bank, right? So with a reverse mortgage for purchase, they were able to buy a new house that was higher value than the one that they sold. They were also able to keep a large sum of money in the bank from the sale of their home. They used the other portion of the sum of money that they got from the sale of their previous home as a down payment on the new home, and their reverse mortgage covered the remaining balance of how much that home cost. So they were able to meet their goal of buying their new fancy home in Bend, no monthly mortgage payments for the rest of their life.
Amazing. Amazing.
That, right? Like, I can't think of any other financial tool that would allow them to meet all of those goals, let alone even hardly one of those goals.
Yeah.
So that's why I love reverse mortgages.
Yeah. I'm so glad you shared that, because that was something that I wanted to bring up, that it's not just about staying in your house and the renovations, but you can actually use it to, if you know your house is, it would take so much to make it an aging in place accessible or future proof home, but you find another house, you can just move to that house that is already universally designed or aging in place accessible, or like you said, and I love that reminder of the area, the environment where we live can decrease our health span. If you move, you now have that resource to be able to do that and improve your health span and lifespan. But yeah, thank you for adding that example. Any other examples or anything else that you want to share?
At this time, I feel like we have really covered a ton.
Yeah.
Probably more than most people ever thought they needed to know or wanted to know about reverse mortgages. But I just think it's so important that when you are planning to age, you uncover every stone. You don't want to miss anything. You don't want to get to be an older person and then go, darn, I wish I would have known that 15 years ago. So while you're 40 or younger or even older, before you turn 62, those are your time. That is your time to learn, to turn over every stone, figure out, what do I need? What are the options available to me to make this aging process as successful as possible? A lot of us have had parents that we've watched make terrible decisions in their aging process. And of course, they don't want to listen to us because we're the kid, you know? So we can learn from their lessons as well.
And that's a good point too, that sometimes it's not your family members that you're leaning on for answers, but to reach out to other people to help uncover the solutions. Thank you, Breezy. This has been fantastic.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kelly. It's always nice to chat with you.
Have a wonderful day.
You as well.
Thanks for tuning in to the Age Well Home and Lifestyle podcast. If this episode sparks something in you, share it with a friend or family member. Let it be the start of a real life, meaningful conversation, because that's how we grow together. And I'd love to hear from you. What topics are you curious about? What questions are on your mind? Reach out and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, live true, and keep creating a life and home that's aligned with your truest self.